Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the second live episode of the week from the 305 Gridiron. Of course it is because it's the free agency week. The NFL league year officially kicked off yesterday at 4 p.m. That's more than 24 hours ago now, which is insane. And a lot of stuff has happened between the legal tampering period on Monday and today. A lot of stuff has happened since our last episode on Tuesday and today. So today we are going to break down the AFC East, which teams got better, which teams got worse. We're going to take a look at a lot of the trades that happened throughout the past 4 days and all of that stuff and more as we take a look at the entire division from a free agency perspective. Can't wait to get into it. Welcome back to the 305 Gridiron, your yearly source for Miami Dolphins news. Josh here to my left, aka Aqua Ace. I'm Anthony Pinzone, and we are here to talk Miami Dolphins free agency. But more specifically, Josh, we are expanding our show today to talk about the entire AFC East.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think some of the teams got better. Some of the teams made some smart decisions. Some other ones, some head scratchers. We're going to talk all about it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we're going to give some arbitrary grades to this stuff too, because who doesn't like a grade, right?
Definitely unbiased.
Totally. Well, considering who has the lowest grade, it kind of...
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Sorry, Patriots. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, man. So I guess we should get into the Dolphins, right? Miami Dolphins have made quite a few signings over the past few days, none of which are people you likely know. Maybe two of them. Josh, I'm not going to get into the full list. I'm just going to mention the guys that I think are the biggest names that people may actually know.
Sure.
And I think that sits at what the hell position? At edge rusher, Josh Uche was signed.
Yep.
We re-signed linebacker Willie Gay Jr. Austin Jackson restructured his contract. I'm not sure if that happened before or after our last show. We'll mention it again just in case.
Yep. Oh, yeah, I forgot to put that on there. Oops.
Scrolling through. By the way, I'm looking at the 305gridiron.com/transactions for the list of transactions that has happened over the past 4 days.
You should plug that like a pro.
Go and hit it up. It is absolutely fantastic source for all the news that has happened.
And it is absolutely 100% our own custom website. So we are it's our baby. We're very excited about it.
We are not connected to an API or anything either. I am literally like our group chat says, "Oh, another signing." I go type it into the website.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Riley Patterson re-signed. I thought that was interesting. It looks like we have a kicker competition because we also signed kicker Zane Gonzalez.
Yep.
So now we have Zane Gonzalez versus Riley Patterson. And then, of course, today the big one was Tutu Atwell. I've always been a big fan of Tutu Atwell, the wide receiver from the Los Angeles Rams. And he is now a Miami Dolphin. What do you feel about this? Overall, what are your feelings? I think there's been a lot of depth signings today and yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we actually did better than I thought we would do. If I'm being completely honest, coming into the offseason, there was a lot of work to do. I think we all know that. We've talked about it on the show. You guys have heard it at nausea on online. But, this was good. This is a rebuilding year. And I didn't expect us to do a lot because we had a lot of dead cap money with some of the moves that we made. But I'll tell you what, this front office is chugging along, man. Malik Willis, Greg Dulcich, Josh Uche. I like big play Willie Gay coming back. Yeah. Tutu Atwell, where he's not a number one or even a number two, in my opinion, he is a very, very good number 3 slot receiver. Can play outside with his speed. More specifically in the return game, he's fast as hell, and it's a homecoming for him. I'm pretty sure he's from Miami, which is great. Yeah. I really, trying to be as unbiased as I can, given that this is a zoomed out AFC East show. I really do like what Miami has done. Now, were the moves really impactful? Were they big names? Were they big? No, the biggest contract we gave out was to Malik Willis, who the more I watch film and listen to this guy talk, the more I'm excited about him. You know, I'm trying my very best to keep my expectations and what I think is going to happen tampered, because I don't want to go into the season and be disappointed again. But man, he's making it hard not to get excited. And I never thought those words would ever come out of my mouth about him. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was highly skeptical of this move, but I mean, he said all the right things, listening to his conversations, listening to him talk about himself. The Dolphins media, of course, they throw lollipops at everybody. They're not the hardest of media teams to get along with. But I thought he handled everything quite well today. Actually, at one point, he was laughing at himself because somebody asked him like how his athleticism translates to on the field, and he goes, "I don't know, we'll see." And then he started laughing. He's like, "That's not a real answer."
No, and then he apologized. I love that he even apologized. He's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys."
He goes, "It helps a little. Helps a little."
Yeah, that's great.
Oh man.
And I do think it is going to help. I mean, all joking aside, you know, if you look at this at him through the lens that of where he is in his career and what he's done or hasn't done, you know, I'm getting excited at the possibility of finally having a quarterback, and just not a knock on Tua, but finally having a quarterback rather that has the scramble ability, that has the body to withstand the punishment, that we don't have to worry about if somebody's coming screaming through the lines and he gets sacked, he's not going to have a grade 5 concussion. So, you know, really excited.
Yeah, so those are just the signings, I think, over the last 24 hours. We're going to get into the entire free agency period as a whole for each AFC East team, and then we're going to give them kind of a grade at the end of it. The grades don't mean anything, but I still want you to get excited about it, and I want you to get mad about it, and I want you to tell us we're idiots, because that makes me feel better about myself. But first, let's head over to the chat. Welcome to the Mad Greek, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back, dude.
What's up, buddy?
Where have you been? Hope you're doing okay.
We have missed you.
Hope your times over in the place we don't know of in Europe are going okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Greece.
Yeah,
probably. Okay. Welcome back to the show, though. My goodness, my friend.
I don't want to pop that up because that's...
No, we're not going to pop that up, but I hope you are feeling better.
Yes.
You haven't seen a lick of Dolphins football since the Pittsburgh game on Sunday night. Well, you're probably in better shape than us then. You didn't want to see it.
Yeah, you're probably emotionally better than us when it comes to this football team. But
that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Good call. Yeah. From an emotional standpoint, you're probably in better shape. Yep. Mac is back. Welcome back, Matt. Coming to represent Pat's Nation.
Yep.
Looks like a solid number 3 AFC East starting quarterback. I mean,
I cannot wait for Drake May to come back down to reality.
I can't really argue it though. That's like the easiest analysis ever. It's
I mean,
Josh Allen, Drake May, Malik, and then whoever the Jets put out on the field.
Geno Smith. They signed
Geno Smith, right? Geno Smith. All right, so we're going to start with our Miami Dolphins, of course. I'll just give you the order. Then we're going to get into the Jets, then the Bills, and then the Patriots last, just so Mac has to stay for the entire show. All right, let's dive into the Miami Dolphins first. Josh, we're going to talk about their signings, then their trades, their releases, their cuts, and just our overall grade at the end of that. We could talk a little numbers if you want.
I think where we have numbers, and again, this isn't every single signing. This isn't every single, these are the ones that we felt were, from a signing standpoint, were important. So we start off with the big one. We just talked about him. We talked about him last show. We've talked about him for a few shows. Malik Willis, quarterback, 3 years, $67 million. This was a $22.5 million investment. Is he a franchise quarterback? I'm pumping my brakes on that. But is he a good quarterback? Absolutely. I don't know how much film you've watched on him, but I've really enjoyed his 2-year tenure from a film standpoint in Green Bay.
I watched the Chase Daniels breakdown.
Yeah.
I have not watched the Kurt Warner breakdown yet. I know that he did one as well.
It's good. Yep. And if you go on tonight, I think Travis from MiamiDolphins.com did one where he went into all 22 and broke down all of his Green Bay.
Mr. Wingfield.
Yeah, it was really good.
Love him.
It was really, really good.
Yeah, I think the more it's a 2-year, $45 million deal.
Yeah.
On the actual deal is 2 for 45, right? And there's an out after the second year. So $22.5 million a year for 2 years is pennies. That's actually less. His entire contract is less than we were paying Tua for 1 year.
Yep. I mean, if you look at what backup, like higher end QB2s are making, it's in this range, right?
And so I'm pumped. I mean, I'm just pumped to see what he can do. This is like, I mean, like you said, the breakdowns that Chase and Kurt did were really good. He does a lot of good things with his eyes. He moves a lot of defenders. He puts zip on the ball when he needs to. He floats it when he needs to do that. Like, I mean, the one pass that they showed over and over again in the Chase Daniels breakdown was to Romeo Doubs down the sideline, and it was a terribly run route. Like, awful. Yeah. The only way he was catching that is if the ball was perfect, and Malik just threw a dot.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see if he can continue to grow into that. What he did in minimal playing time in Green Bay.
Yeah, and the other really big part of his game that I'm very excited to see in combination with both Achane and Waddle is his athleticism, because he's a big dude, right? I think he's just a slight bit taller than Tua. I think he's like 6'1", maybe. I don't know if you want to look up his measurables, but he's thick from an athletic standpoint, and he's got some sneaky wheels on him. And you know, the combination of him and Achane coming out of the backfield on rollouts, his ability to improvise in the pocket, depending on where the rush lanes are coming, was very like multiple steps forward from where he was in Tennessee to where he was in the Green Bay film that I watched. And I don't know, it's just going to add that dimension to this position that we haven't had since Tua's been our starting quarterback. And again, we knew Tua wasn't that. That wasn't Tua, right?
Sure.
But this is great.
Yeah, he's 6'1", 225, so he's definitely a bigger body than what Tua is.
Yeah.
Second one we have on the list is Greg Dulcich. We love this guy, Dulce de Leche, as I used to call him, because I could never pronounce his name correctly last season. I've learned. But glad to have him back on a 1-year deal. I got to talk. Do you have anything else to add to Dulcich?
No, he was the only tight end I was really excited to have back. I know Julian Hill, we'll talk about him later. Julian Hill signed with the Pats.
He did. Yeah, we can mention that now. Yeah.
Yeah, Julian Hill, look, first couple of years, we not so cordially referred to him as Jillian Hill because he was playing like a child. But last year, man, he did some really good things. You could tell he took a step forward in his game. So wishing him all the best. But of the tight ends that we had on the roster, including Darren Waller, Greg Dulcich is the one I wanted to come back more than any of them, because he's got the age on his side and he's a jack of all trades. He's not a master of any of them, but he's a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I think the next one on the list is Cameron Good. I do not know how this guy keeps being the first re-signing of every new regime, but somehow he does. Yeah. So Cameron Good back on a depth. He's a depth piece. He actually started quite a few games, 3 or 4 games last year after we traded away Phillips. So he got some additional playing time. Miles Battles on here is to a reserve future contract. Again, we have just added so many safeties and corners, and they're just hoping that they land one player,
1 or 2. That's all. Right. That's all they're doing. The shotgun
two would be a pipe dream. If they can land one out of the guys that they signed, that would be phenomenal. And
there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind it, right? Because again, we're very limited with what we can spend. So they're getting, they signed 6 guys today, all corners and safeties, at $1 million, $2 million each.
Well, keep in mind that they're building out the 90-man roster right now.
Right, exactly.
We only had 30 guys on the roster.
Maybe, if that,
So they have to sign 60 guys to fill out the roster. So a lot of these guys are probably not making the team, but they're all going to have a chance to compete for it. Josh Uche, I mentioned, I love this 11.5 sacks for the Patriots a few years ago. He didn't find that much success with the Eagles last year, but I actually was really pumped to see this signing.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think personally he's a starter, but I think he's one of those kind of edge threes that comes in and plays, 500 to 600 snaps a year, if you will, maybe 400 to 500 snaps a year, and makes his impact there. I've seen him starting at places. I don't think he's got the body and the legs to do so. But as a DN3, I'm really excited. And this is somebody that you and I have we talked about him as a possibility last year and the year before.
Yeah.
And so good to see him finally get on the roster on a 1-year deal, and we'll see what he's got.
Yeah, I think everything you just said for him, I would say the same thing for Willie Gay.
Of course.
Nicknamed Big Play Willie Gay last year by Blake in the chat. Never really got a chance to play much under Anthony Weaver. I'm hoping he gets more of a chance now. But again, another depth piece, right? Like, he's coming in, and honestly, he will have a chance to start alongside Brooks. There's nobody else there right now. We'll see how the draft plays out and the rest of free agency plays out. But as it stands right now, it's him and Brooks at the linebacker.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully it's either Sonny Styles or Jacob Rodriguez. But, what do I know?
If Sonny Styles falls to us at 11 and we don't take him in,
the
disappointment in me will be immeasurable.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Immeasurable. And then Tutu Atwell was the last one we wanted to mention of the big name signings here. Tutu played, I thought, fairly well with the Rams when given the opportunity. Obviously, not a 1, not a 2, but he is I would call him a zone buster.
Yeah.
Because he can just run the stretch, break up the zone, allow for guys underneath to get open. I think he, more than anybody, will do wonders for Jalen.
Yeah, agreed.
Jalen Waddle.
Yep, agreed. He's going to help Jalen Waddle. The one thing that worried me with this pick, through a lens of it's a 1-year deal. Okay, like he is who he is we still don't have height at the wide receiver position.
we have Malik, right? Tutu, and
Waddle, all under 5'11". You know what I mean? So I'm hoping they will be addressing this position in the draft, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure they will, because if you look back at what Green Bay did at the wide receiver position, it was 6'1" plus. So my assumption is we will draft 1 or maybe 2 wide receivers in the draft, all hopefully above 6'1".
Yeah, the thing about the draft is there's a good number of athletic, tall players in the later rounds, like 3rd, 4th, 5th round. I know you and I have been just doing mock draft after mock draft because, well, we're delinquents.
What else we have?
But like Jeff Caldwell's the one that really kind of sticks out to me from I think Cincinnati later on in the draft, who really blew up at the combine and I think he's 6'2". He's right in that. Remember when we did that research and I found out that for the most part, the most successful receivers in the NFL are 6'2".
Yep.
So now I like to look for those guys in the 6'2" range.
Yep, agreed.
Releases and cuts and trades. We traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Jets for a 7th round pick. This was absolutely horrific value for a guy that we just traded away Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith to get. And then we get a 7th in return. What's up, Blake? Welcome to the show, man. So this weighed heavily, I think, on the grade.
Yeah, the same. And I have a gut feeling, and I just looking at the numbers now that everything is settled, all the dust is settled, I'm pretty sure that this move was a rush to get him off the roster, get his cap space so that we could then offer the contract to Malik Willis. That's the only thing that makes sense, because you don't trade away a player like Minkah, even though he's in the last year of his contract, even though he wants an extension, even though insert other reason, you don't trade him away for a 7th. Especially if you're trading him in division. So the Jets really took us to the shed house on that. But they got a good player. We got the ability to then go out and get our quarterback. So
they have a good player who's going to be 30. I mean, that's the thing, that's where I'm not mad about it.
No.
But also I thought we could have done a little bit better.
Yeah, I was thinking a late 5, early 6. So, I mean, we got a 7th. We're splitting hairs here at it. But the truth of the matter is that is a low return for a player of his caliber, even if he is going into his 30.
Yeah. All right. Mad Greek up in here talking about Malik. He could uncork some serious velocity at the fastest record velocity and a 32 Wonderlic. Yeah.
That's why he was taken in the second. Yeah.
Listen to his presser today, man. Impressive young man. He is thoughtful with his words, but not in a way that's kind of annoying. You know, he's just really quick and he just knows how to speak, which is nice. Take a late flyer on Nick Harbor, 6'5" with
Yeah.
Tyreek speed. I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, I don't think he's got Tyreek speed, but fast nonetheless. Yeah.
I'll go take a look. Let's talk about the releases and the cuts, by the way. Speaking of Tyreek Hill, released on February 16th. He was one of, I think, 4 cuts on the 16th.
Yes.
Let me go.
It was
Bradley
him,
Chubb,
James
Tyreek
Daniels.
Hill, James Daniels, and Nick Westbrook-Ikini.
Yep.
So we had 4 cuts on the 16th. By the way, Bradley Chubb, we're going to talk more about him later, but he signed a massive contract with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, interesting choice.
The Bills are over the cap, and yet they're signing all the... what is happening right now? The cap is so unreal.
Yeah.
But the big one, of course, of all of this, outside of Chubb, Hill, Daniels, and Westbrook, which we've talked about a ton on our show already, we don't need to go into much more detail. The big one, of course, is cutting Tua Tagovailoa with a post-June 1st cut. And then on top of that, Josh, you just sent it to me today, they also picked up his option, his 2026 option, which means that the cap hit for this year is a little bit less and the cap hit for next year is a little bit more. So it looks like the cap hit this year will only be around $56 million as opposed to $67 million. Hey, $11 million extra to work with.
Yeah, I'll take that all day. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we then saw all of the slew of signings that we've seen today. So it was good, man. It was really good. What is your grade for us? I think, we saved what, 70, 80 million we cleared right off of our books with all of these trades.
Yep.
We spent 71-ish million in contract values. What's your grade? Well, how do you think we did?
I think they did exactly what they were meant to do as a new regime coming into a shit situation. Let's be honest. And the thing that amazed me the most about this, and I mentioned it in our show on Tuesday, is that we still managed to get a quarterback.
Yeah, crazy.
That was my big question mark the whole offseason. And I've been pretty consistent with this ideology. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, your team cannot run without a quarterback. Even if it's not the best quarterback, you need at least an adequate quarterback to get you to the big game, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thinks that Sam Darnold is suddenly a Hall of Famer, but he's good enough that he just won the Super Bowl this past year.
Yep.
Right?
Look at Baker, right? I mean, there's plenty of examples of...
Yeah, exactly. So while I don't think we're going to hear much from the team the rest of the free agency in terms of big signings, right? We're going to hear these little nickel and dime ones that we've been hearing because we have 90-man roster that we have to fill out. But I don't think we're going to hear any huge transactions, and that's because a third of our now it's not a third of a cap. It's I don't know, a fifth of the cap, a sixth of the cap, still a huge chunk of the cap is taken up by a dead cap situation with Tua. So I gave them overall a C+. I think they came in, they did exactly what they could do. They're hamstrung by the situation. So I gave them a little above average.
Yeah, and just our grades are joint grades, so we gave them a C+. And I do, and I just so that people don't wait for another grade. And I just want to make sure that those that are watching from a Dolphin standpoint know, if you go look at our cap now, you're like, well, they don't have much. I think we have like 3 or 4 million. We're getting Bradley Chubb's.
Yeah, it's post June 1st.
2021, whatever it is, post June 1st. So after that June 1st mark, we get an influx of cash that'll pay for the rookies, that'll set us up for, in-season injury fills and stuff like that. So I thought it was very intentional with what this front office did, with the moves that they made, with how they handled the moves, like Tua's, taking up his what's it called? What'd they do to Tua's contract?
They picked up the option.
Thank you,
2026
option. Yeah, they're picking up his option so that they could move some money into next year, where we are going to have a surplus of money to allow us to make some additional moves to fill the roster and get some talent on this team. So C+ for both of us. I think it's kind of right smack dab down the middle of the lane, which is better than I thought they would do, or better than I thought we were capable of doing given the restraints on money. So I like it. I like the moves that we've made so far.
Yeah, I think what that just means too is that we're going to be picking up the scrap, similar to what we did last year when we picked up, Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas late. Yeah. We'll be doing, and that's why I think the expiring contracts list on our website is such a good list, because just keep an eye on those guys, right? Whoever is on the team last year and doesn't sign with another team,
come on back.
they might be welcomed back. Yeah, we've already seen a few of them on the way back. So Especially the guys in the secondary, Elijah Campbell, Efetu Melifonwu, Ashton Davis, Jack Jones, Rasul Douglas. Like, we could see a number of those guys come back.
Yeah. Losing Cater really hurt, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, we did lose Cater.
Yeah.
We have to talk about that now, right? I mean, we lost Cater to the Chiefs, by the way, if you haven't heard that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, sorry. For some reason in my head, it was the Patriots. No, it was the Chiefs. Yeah, really happy for Cater. I have no idea what his contract is, but he did sign a long-term deal. Nothing crazy, I don't think, but a long-term deal with Kansas City. Hell of a cornerback for where he was drafted and the adversity that he had to go through. Hopefully, he lands on his feet in Kansas City and continues to get better every day and show that he's a good cornerback in this league.
Darth Cater, man.
Darth Cater.
He'll have a chance to start over there. I mean, they lost like 3 corners in free agency, so
Yeah.
Let's move into the New York Jets now. The New York Jets we have 10 signings. We're not going to go through all of them step by step, but we'll talk about the bigger ones. Yeah. They made one trade with us, of course, for Minkah Fitzpatrick, and they had one contract extension that I can see. Maybe there were more, but we're not Jets fans. We're not going and scouring the Jets fan boards for all that crap. Nope. So let's talk Minkah first. I thought this was a good job by them. They get a veteran presence at safety. Mm-hmm. He probably fits really well into that system that Aaron Glenn wants to run there in New York. 3 years, $40 million extension after the trade. I think that's a pretty good deal for them. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's probably a little high, given that he's hitting his 30-year kind of window here. $13.33 million per year is not nothing. Yeah. And 31 years old is when you start seeing secondary players start declining. So it's a little bit of a risky contract, but Minkah is a hell of a player. I mean, 2 years ago, 3 years, 40, 3 years, 50 would have been like totally understandable. So good trade, questionable signing, but they're the Jets, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think they, a trend you'll see here is they largely are working on defense here. Obviously, Aaron Glenn not happy with how the defense played last year.
Understandable.
So they're working to, obviously they were awful. So looking to add not only some playmakers, but some depth and some seniority there. And I think that's where Minkah comes in. I also think that's where Demario Davis comes in. 2 years, $22 million for the veteran linebacker. I think that's a good move for them. Davis, I think, was playing for the Saints, and I think he played like 8 years straight without missing a game or something like that. I want to say, I don't have that in front of me, but I want to say that that's how he has like a really long streak of not missing a game. So he'll bring a veteran presence to the linebacker core. They signed upside defensive end pass rusher Joseph Asai.
That was a good
3 years, $34.5 million.
Yeah.
Then another upside defensive end, only on a 1 year. It's a rotational piece. Kingsley
Enagbari. Yep.
Enagbari.
Mm-hmm.
Another safety, Dane Belton as a safety depth, and then Nahshon Wright at corner to kind of round out their,
and then Geno Smith, right?
Well, he's on offense. I'm talking about defense right now.
Oh, sorry.
Get it together, Josh.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, none of these really hugely stick out to me. I think they did a good job signing depth pieces and senior rotational pieces here. I think Joseph Asai, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Demario Davis are the big ones to talk about there.
Agreed.
On offense, and another trade, Geno Smith. Welcome back to the New York Jets.
Yeah, this is curious. This one is interesting to me.
This makes no damn sense. What are you talking about? This man hated New York.
Yeah, he broke his jaw. He got punched and broke. One of the players broke his jaw.
He was bullied in New York. The fans hated him in New York. He hated being in New York. Mm-hmm. And then he agrees to a trade from the Raiders to the Jets to return to New York. I have no idea what is happening in New York when it comes to
I don't know. You're talking about what is he, 30, 36, something like that. I mean, he's an older guy.
No idea.
Led the league in interceptions last year. Last time he was in New York, which was years ago, committed to go to a fundraiser event, I think is what the story was, with one of his teammates. His teammates publicized that Geno Smith, starting quarterback of the Jets, was going to show up. Geno just not only didn't show up, but didn't tell the guy he wasn't coming. And then when the guy confronted him, and the player that I can't remember his name, bought him a ticket. So $500 something for a plane ticket there and back. Geno didn't show up. The guy confronted him in the locker room and said, "Hey, I want my $500 back at least. I bought you a plane ticket. You didn't use it." Geno told him to fuck off. And the guy punched him and broke his jaw. I mean, like, that's the last time Geno Smith was in New York. So of all of the decisions that New York could have made at the quarterback position, this one was very curious to me.
It's curious indeed, man. It's really, and I did the grade before we knew that they got Geno. I'd probably lower it a little bit. I just don't know what they're doing at quarterback. Like, I know that we've had our issues with quarterback, and I know that from a success standpoint over the past few decades, we're in the same boat as the Jets. So I'm not going to be over here acting all high and mighty. But what they've done the past 3 or 4 years at the quarterback position just makes absolutely no sense. Like, I get it, right? It didn't work out with Sam. It didn't work out with Geno. It didn't work out with Zach. So what's your plan now? Just to stop trying taking quarterbacks in the draft and take everybody else's garbage? Like, I mean, Aaron Rodgers didn't work out. Tyrod Taylor is just a journeyman. Then they got Justin Fields come in, and they end up benching him for Tyrod Taylor instead of working with Justin to get better. It just doesn't seem like there's a plan in place there, man.
Yeah, it's where they get the phrase from all of the other AFC East teams. It's the Jets being the Jets. This is such a Jets move, right? It's not. I would have been more impressed, for as much as I don't like the player, for them to go after Kyler. Kyler signed for the veteran minimum in Minnesota.
Yeah,
don't trade for him, but
Kirk,
or there's a couple players that they could have traded if they were going to make a trade. There was the backup in New Orleans, who's I'm a big fan of there, and I'm blanking on all the names now because I'm live.
No, it wasn't Desmond Ritter. Rattler. Spencer
Rattler. Yeah, Spencer Rattler. He would have been phenomenal. He's who I wanted us to go get if we missed out on Malik Willis. But it's the Jets being the Jets. Do I think it's going to work out? No. But hey, I didn't think Sam Darnold was going to work out either. So he proved me very wrong there.
I'm actually going to lower the grade a little bit. We had a B+ for the Jets. I'm actually going to lower it to a B because of the Geno signing. I don't think it makes much sense, especially coming off such a horrific season. That cannot be your answer at quarterback. Hopefully they have, and this is just reactions to free agency, by the way. They still have the draft. They could be a player in the Ty Simpson sweepstakes. We don't know. But
of course they
given what we've seen from free agency, I give them a B. I like that they franchised Breece Hall. They're working on a long-term deal with Breece Hall. We didn't mention that yet. I like that. I thought the Minkah trade was a steal. And then to get the defensive pieces that they got at the prices they got, I thought that was really good value.
Yeah, and also sneaky good. I like their contract extension with Jelani Woods.
Yeah, Jelani Woods is, I think, a decent tight end. Probably better if he wasn't on the Jets, though.
Well, everyone would be better if they're not on the Jets, but that's because I'm a Dolphins fan. Anyways. Sorry, Jets fans.
Let's move on to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are over the cap. We've mentioned this earlier on in the show. And yet somehow they are continuing to sign players. I think the biggest move with Buffalo, though, was actually a trade more than free agency. When they traded with the Chicago Bears, they traded a second-round pick, and they got back DJ Moore and a fifth-round pick from Chicago. Now, I know your boy was in here the other day on Tuesday talking about how he wasn't a massive fan of the move, and didn't look at DJ as a one. And our buddy Taylor doesn't look at DJ as a wide receiver one either. I am usually pretty hard on wide receivers. I think that this is a really good move for Buffalo, and I kind of hate it for us as Dolphins fans. I think DJ Moore is a damn good receiver. He's not an elite receiver, but I certainly think he falls if there's 32 wide receiver ones in the league, I think he's a top 32 receiver.
Yeah, same. And I think, Nels, or as our chat will recognize him, Mr. Snicklefritz. Nelson is a diehard Buffalo Bills fan, and I feel like he downplays the signings quite a lot. It happens all the time. Well, in our side group chat with him, me, and Mac. I agree with you. I love DJ Moore. Do I think he's a top 5, top 10 wide receiver? No. But do I think he's a top 15, top 20 wide receiver? Absolutely. And then you factor in who his quarterback is. And I think that elevates what his production is going to be versus where he is in the hierarchy of top wide receivers in the league. Because Josh Allen elevates the players around him, which is why, I can't believe I'm saying this, which is why Josh Allen, in my opinion, is the number 1 quarterback in the league. I think this is and I know Josh Allen has had, prime, for lack of a better term, Stephon Diggs, and had some other wide receivers. Am I crazy to think that DJ Moore is the best wide receiver Josh Allen has ever had? I mean, that's how I feel.
It's between him and Diggs. I mean, Diggs was in his prime when he went to Buffalo. So,
and so is DJ Moore.
Right? Right. He has a chance to surpass Diggs on that for sure. I just don't understand. Buffalo is so high on Khalil Shakir. It's so high on a guy who has never had a 1,000-yard season. I just don't understand it. I look at Khalil Shakir as a complementary piece, not as the main piece. Yeah. And Buffalo seems to, at least their fans seem to think he's a legitimate wide receiver 1. There's a disconnect there. I think DJ Moore is certainly your wide receiver 1. It didn't cost you that much to get him. What's that?
I said, barring any other moves, I think he'd go. If the season were to start tomorrow, DJ Moore's your wide receiver 1 by a landslide.
I mean, even if they drafted a guy in the first round, I still think he's their,
Well, depends who they get in the first round. If they get any of the top 3 or 4 wide receivers, I think DJ Moore is a 1B to any of those, in my opinion. But DJ Moore's got size. He's physical at the point of attack. He's good, shockingly and sneakily good at the 50-50 balls. He's good at tracking, which is something that the Bills, from a wide receiver standpoint, they haven't really had wide receivers who can track the ball really well, in my opinion. And DJ Moore does all of that very well. I mean, he's not elite at any of it, which is why he's not a top 5 wide receiver, and which is why you got him for a 2nd round pick. But I like this move for Buffalo. He's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think, was it this year or last year they re-signed James Cook as well? So they have a good amount of pieces there on offense for Josh now. I mean, there's no more excuses at this point, right? They have time to continue to put pieces around him too. The NFL draft is still coming, so I think that they're getting dangerously close to this argument of, is Josh the problem? And I don't know that he is, but I don't know that he isn't. Yeah.
And I'll be curious to see what the new coaching staff there does, because don't forget they also got a new head coach, and I don't know which coordinators they kept, if they kept any. So I'm wondering
how their offensive coordinator became their head coach. So
right.
Joe
So,
Barry.
So the offense will
Joe Brady.
Joe Barry. So their offense will probably stay somewhat the same, I presume. But yeah, no, it's not bad. Not a bad trade in my opinion.
Signings they made: D. Alfred, the corner, for 3 years, 15.75. I mean, that's obviously a depth piece at $5 million a year. Still a pretty good signing, though. I like Alfred. Of the Falcons, right? He was drafted by the Falcons, I believe.
I believe so. Yeah. Don't quote me on that, but yeah.
They lost Mitch Trubisky, though, so they ended up bringing Kyle Allen in from Detroit. 2 years, $4 million. Is that right? $4 million over 2 years?
I think so. Yeah, it's $2 million and change. Yeah. I'll double check it, but
that is very, very cheap. They brought in a punter. Who cares? And then Jim Leonard is their defensive coordinator. Thank you, Adam J. 1212, for the information.
Yes, thank you so much.
Clearly not Bills fans. And then Bradley Chubb, 3 years, $43.5 million. This is the big one. He actually was cut by Miami. Of course, we could not afford him. But let's be honest. I don't think it was a cut for lack of ability or cut for lack of production. It was a cut because we can't afford you. And then he goes and signs a 3 year, $43.5 million deal with Buffalo. I hate this, man. He couldn't go somewhere not in our division.
Yeah, this one frustrated me because Bradley Chubb was our led our team in sacks last year and was on pace to lead it the year before his injury. And I just double checked. Kyle Allen has a 2 year, $4.1 million deal that can go up to 6.1 with incentives. But Bradley Chubb is going to be a problem. Yeah. He is a hell of a pass rusher. you don't want him dropping in coverage. We witnessed that a few times with Anthony Weaver's defense last year. Not a good situation if you're expecting him to cover a back out of the backfield or a tight end. But if your expectations as Buffalo, as Jim Leonard, thank you, Adam, comes in and says, Bradley, all I want you to do is rush the passer, then, I mean, am I crazy to think Bradley Chubb could see anywhere between 6'9", maybe hit that 10 sack mark next year for Buffalo?
I mean, he hit 11 for us in 2023, so I certainly think it's possible. He hit 12 his rookie year.
He had 9 last year.
Last year,
yeah.
The problem with him has always been health, man. He hits 11 sacks for us in 2023, and then he tears his knee up towards the end of the year. He misses all of the 2024 season. Comes back last year, he gets 8.5 sacks, right? Throughout his career, he's missed so many games. Only 4 games in 2019, 7 in 2021, 8 in 2022. Actually, no, he played 16 in 2022, split between Denver and Miami. Sorry. Then he played 16 again in 2023, so it was on the up and up of playing games, and then he misses all of 2024 before playing 17 games last year. So if Bradley Chubb can stay healthy, I certainly think this is his best opportunity to get back to double digits.
Yeah, and I like it for him on a personal level because I think Bradley Chubb was an amazing person for the Dolphins. He was a really good player for us too. Like you said, he couldn't stay healthy. I think this gives Bradley a chance going into the kind of sunset of his career. Let's be honest. It just gives him a really good shot at going deep into the playoffs and hopefully not getting a ring because I don't want to see Buffalo win the championship, but maybe.
No, but I mean, if you're going to take a shot on a team to do it, you might as well, pick Buffalo if you're a free agent.
Yep.
They did trade away cornerback Taron Johnson to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 7th round pick.
With
a 7th round pick. They got a 6th in return, so it's a salary dump move. It's not great, but we've done that a few times as well. They released Curtis Samuel, Dane Jackson, and Taylor Rapp. They gave contract extensions to center Connor McGovern, tight end Dawson Knox, which that one's confusing, and Sam Franklin Jr. Why I say the Dawson Knox one is confusing, and maybe this was a money move, is because I think Dalton Kincaid is obviously the tight end one there.
But they do run a lot of 2 tight end sets. Yeah. They do run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and any Bills fans in here, please tell me if I'm completely cracked on this, but I do believe Dawson Knox is the blocking tight end where Kincaid is the kind of more receiving / can do a little bit of everything. So, having a very good blocking tight end on the roster is important, and Dawson Knox is at least good at that. I don't know how good he is in the receiving game, but he's definitely their tight end too.
Funny enough, like the year they drafted Kincaid, Knox was coming off back-to-back of his best seasons catching the ball.
I know.
Over 500 yards a season for 2 seasons, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to draft another guy to catch the ball." Actually,
I mean, Kincaid is a hell of a fucking tight end, so
he is. He's really good.
Not a bad move.
The contract restructures Ed Oliver. They converted $12.8 million into a signing bonus, which cleared $10.26 million in cap. The last time I looked, they were about $22 million over the cap, but admittedly, I haven't looked in a couple days, so they could have adjusted the situation and resolved that by now. Grade-wise, Josh, looks like we have a B- for the Bills. The DJ Moore acquisition we are both big fans of. He fits a much-needed hole in the Bills' offense, I think. Dawson Knox extension, like I just mentioned, a bit of a head-scratcher, right? But otherwise, they've been quiet, man. This is what good teams do. Good teams are typically quiet in free agency. They build through the draft. They build through their own. So I think a B- for the Bills, and really you shouldn't give 2 shits about that grade because the Bills they build from within, and that's the way you should do it. And that's the way the Dolphins are going to be doing it moving forward as well.
Yeah, and a team, like you said, like those teams that are winning consistently, that are in double digits, that are perennial playoff contenders, AFC East championship contenders and stuff like that, they do all of their damage late free agency once players are released, right? Once their team, after teams get down to their 53 roster and teams have to cut, 30 players each team, and there's a surplus of available free agents. That's where these teams kind of come in and churn the bottom of their roster, and then in the draft. And that's, We'll see.
This is a good signing too. We didn't actually get it into the show notes because it just happened before today before we popped on. But this is a really good signing by the Bills as well.
Yeah, that's annoying. I really like Gardner Johnson. That pisses me off. Thanks, Adam. Yeah. Thanks for being the turd in the punch bowl with that one.
We knew this was going to happen when we started talking about the AFC East. Max says the Jets were jetsing on that move, sign a quarterback who flopped last year. That's how they do, bro. That's how they do. Francis Mayoga in round 1 looking more plausible now, isn't it? I don't know what happened here. Why is it looking more plausible?
Oh, just from the moves that we made, I presume.
Oh, from the moves we made. Yeah. I don't know if he falls to us, though. Everybody I've seen has him in the top 10.
Yeah, he might. Him and Fano are both tackles. However, with their measurables and their power and insert measurable from the combine, everyone seems to think they are going to move inside. And you don't draft a guard in the top 10 unless he's a perennial all-pro Hall of Fame type, which I don't think either of these are. I think they're both, like him and Fano, are going to be very good players in the NFL. Very, very good. I think both of them are going to be phenomenal at the guard position. I'm sure if a team takes them as a tackle, they'll probably start at tackle and then realize very quickly, got to bump them in. But it would be, I wouldn't hate the move. There are 5, 6, 7 players that Anthony, you and I really are focused on at that 11th pick, and he's on my list at least.
Yeah, I can't say. I mean, I'd be a little disappointed because it doesn't seem like the offensive linemen are very strong this year. Not like last year where there was like 6 of them and we didn't take one. But yeah, Finspin coming at you hot with the Tyreek Hill high school 100-meter time was 10:19. Nick Harbor's 100-meter time in high school was 10:12. That's insane.
At 6'5"?
That's insane.
At 6'5". Okay, yeah.
How do you run a 10:12 at 6'5"?
Long ass legs, long strides. Mac, you are in track. Tell us how it happens.
The fastest time I ran track too. The fastest time I ever saw in my small district was 10:26, and I thought that was really fast, which it is.
That is really fucking fast.
But yeah, it's insane. I ran an 11:4. I wasn't running with these guys.
No,
I'm not keeping up with those guys. I'm gonna put this up one more time too. Hit that like button if you're here and you're enjoying the show. Hit it up. We have one more team to cover. So far, we've covered the Miami Dolphins, the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills, and now, of course, we have the New England Patriots to talk about. First, we have to welcome into the show Sports Night with Jorge. Welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, buddy?
Good to see you. Hope all is well. I know, Jorge, you were having some health issues at some point too. You guys need to get it together. You and Finspin over there. Get it together.
Yep. But really glad that you guys are here.
Mac was long distance because you couldn't sprint. If you can't run fast, you run really far slow.
Take a deep breath and go slow.
What do you say we talk about the New England Patriots here?
I say, you know what? We waited. We made Mac wait long enough. Let's just end the show here. No, I'm kidding.
Spoiler alert, I freaking love what the Patriots did, and I hate that I love it. Yeah. Absolutely hate it. So you want me to go through the signings first, and then we'll talk about a few? Or do you want to talk about them as we go?
No, just burn through them, and we'll talk about them. We'll go back and talk about the ones that matter, which are pretty much most of them.
Most of them. God, they're so good. Okay, Elijah Vera-Tucker, 3 years, $42 million, helped solidify the offensive line. He came over from the New York Jets playing guard. $14 million a year for an offensive lineman. Jesus, what a steal. Apparently today I saw reported also on ESPN that there is a pill in there in case he gets hurt to get out of that contract. So
yeah, it's brilliant negotiating. I'll tell you that much, because when we'll talk about it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Good
job there. Outside linebacker, edge rusher Draymond Jones, 3 years, $36.5 million. Again, an edge rusher for $12 million. I don't understand what they're doing. Are they like spiking the coffee when they invite these guys in? Like, how are they getting these deals done?
No, they're negotiating with the Super Bowl team.
Right. Oh yeah, they were in the Super Bowl last year. Weren't they?
Yeah, they didn't do much in the Super Bowl.
Shit out of them. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mac.
Reggie Gilliam, whatever, fullback, nobody cares. Tommy DeVito, backup quarterback. I actually forgot he was on the Patriots, to be honest.
Same.
They signed him to an extension, 2 years, $4.4 million. I don't know who Jesse Luketa is.
Mm-hmm.
A depth edge rusher. Another big one, Romeo Doubs, 4 years, $68 million. I put in the little notes below. this is sort of stealing a player from a division rival. He was very heavily favored to go to Miami and be part of the Miami Packers down there. And of course, he ends up signing for a contract we could not afford, $68 million over 4 years for the.
This next one, this next one is one that I really, really like. I'm nauseated at how much I like this for them.
Yeah, Kevin Byard is safety, 1 year, $9 million. This guy led the league in interceptions last year, by the way, and only gets a 1 year, $9 million deal. What the hell is that?
I think that's probably his age, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's in that 30, right? Do you have it open?
I guess, but the year that the year that X led the league in interceptions, he ended up getting paid
like fucking 80 million or 90 million. Or whatever.
Crazy. They took another player from the Dolphins, actually from the Dolphins, though. Julian Hill, a tight end we've been grooming for the past couple years, ends up signing with the Patriots. The terms were not disclosed on that one. Another safety, Mike Brown, is mostly a special teams player. And then another Miami Dolphin last year, at least, not a long-term one, only 1 year wonder. KJ Britt, nice linebacker depth right there. At just 25 years old. Of course, they released Jelani Tavai, the inside linebacker, clearing $1.73 million in cap space. And they traded center Garrett Bradbury to the Chicago Bears after the Chicago Bears center that they traded for last year suddenly retired.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Apparently the Patriots have a guard whose natural position is center who is going to be shifted over to center. I cannot remember his name. Maybe Matt can help us out there in the chat. But, dude, I count like 5 or 6 huge signings here. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's start with Elijah Vera-Tucker, because I really like this. I really like him as a player. I know he's got an injury history, which is such a typical Dolphins fan thing to like, because that's all we're used to with Chris Greer.
Did you guys hire Chris Greer over there?
Yeah. Right. No, I think if Vera-Tucker can stay healthy, the issues that reared their head in the Super Bowl for the Patriots from a blocking for Drake May standpoint, if Vera-Tucker can stay healthy, he is basically he can wall off one of the guard spots. And he's got insane power. He's got very good mobility. His drop steps are his form with his drop steps are in unison with his shoulders. I mean, he's a hell of a player. And $14 million a year, I maybe a little bit steep given his injury history, but again, you're paying for the free agent tax, if you will. So you're always going to pay more than probably that. You're mostly going to pay more for the player than the original team would have. But $14 million a year, if you can stay healthy, it's money well spent. I don't know how you feel about Vera-Tucker, but
that slides him right into it. And thank you, Mac, for throwing the name down there. Jared Wilson is the guy who was drafted last year in the 3rd round. He played guard for the Patriots last year. I think that Elijah Vera-Tucker will slide into that guard role. Jared Wilson will slide into the center role, and then their offense just somehow they traded away an offensive lineman, and their offensive line got better.
Yeah, and I think what really bit you guys what really bit New England in the ass was they had 2 rookies starting on the left side. They had Campbell and Wilson starting in the Super Bowl, and they just got, manhandled is generous.
They're going against like a generational defensive line in Seattle too, which is insane.
Of course, right? 100%. I could not agree more. However, it reared its head as being a problem. So the fact that now they're able to shift Jared Wilson over to the center position, which I think is a very good position for Wilson. I thought Jared Wilson was more of a center coming out of college. You're sliding in Vera-Tucker, hopefully. We don't know, but my assumption is sliding a proven veteran in between 2 second-year players. I think it's going to help both the left tackle and the center by having somebody that can kind of clean up the rough edges while they're kind of growing into their positions as young players. So it's a real smart move.
Yeah, I think the next move that we should probably talk about is Draymond Jones adding a nice edge rusher to the fold here to go along with I thought a surprisingly good pass rush on the New England team last year.
Yeah. I think Vrabel knows what the hell he's doing with defense. And I think you can see that he did a lot with a little, in my opinion. Right. And that's not a slight on anyone, but you look at Jones's 2025 season. was it 3 forced fumbles? I think I'm sorry. He had 7 sacks last year, 42 total tackles, 1 pass defense. In his career, he's had 37.5 sacks in 108 games. 3 forced fumbled, 3 fumble recoveries, 8 pass deflections, and 1 interception. Look, is he going to be a stud? No. Is he a top edge rusher, outside linebacker? No. But he's the kind of player with Vrabel's mind and the system that Vrabel runs on defense. This is the kind of player that we look at now and like, oh, that's a decent signing. And then at the end of the year, he's got 12 sacks. And you're like, where the fuck did this guy come from?
Just like Harold Landry, right? I mean, Vrabel has this, like, the Patriots came out of nowhere so much last year because they signed a bunch of guys who were considered busts.
Kayvon Chason, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And those guys ended up playing amazing in the Vrabel system. And this guy, he was in Tennessee as well. Yeah. I think he comes over and he probably, like, to your point, has a much more productive time in New England than he has in his career so far.
And I'm not saying he's going to get 12 sacks. That was a hyperbole, right? But if he can,
he's going to have opportunity.
If he can end the season 5, 6, 7 sacks, that is money well spent, in my opinion. When you have Milton Williams, I think is the defensive tackle they gave like $1 bajillion to last offseason.
Worth every friggin' penny too.
And then some, right? So if you look at, the capabilities at on the defensive line in front of Jones, I think it's going to give him a lot of opportunity to go one-on-one and get to the quarterback.
Yeah. Let's jump over to Romeo Doubs, man. I think this has been really the crutch of the offense. I know that the offensive line was exposed in the Super Bowl, but this was not like a high-flying passing team. They rode Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. Ramondre Stevenson, especially in the playoffs, was fantastic.
Yeah.
They pick up Reggie Gilliam, the fullback from Buffalo, to help the run game. But more importantly, they help the pass game by picking up Romeo Doubs to pair with Kayshon Boutte and Mac Hollins.
Yeah, Reggie Gilliam, real quick, I know we're talking about Doubs. I think that is a very sneaky signing because who was the leading rusher last year? Cook. Who was Cook's leading blocker on Buffalo? Reggie Gilliam. So I think putting him on this team is going to be, he's not going to give you a crazy amount of stats, but he's going to be a hell of a blocker for your guys' running backs. Romeo Doubs, do I think 4 years, $68 million is steep for him? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. That's a questionable decision. It's not my money. It's not your money. So who gives a shit? But he is going to be, I think he classifies as a high-end 2, kind of wide receiver 2, in my opinion, which is exactly what New England needed, right? Diggs was out
in to replace Diggs, yeah,
right. And I think he'll do a very good job at running the Diggs routes, if you will, right? At $68 million, though, that's a little steep, in my opinion.
This is such a Patriots thing, though. They get their quarterback and then they just give him like a lot of like productive receivers, but no superstar receivers, right? Like I think Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas had some amazing games last year. Mac Hollins came in clutch in the playoffs.
He did. Yeah.
Kayshon Boutte is this young up and comer who is just really under the radar to most people because he's not like a fantasy stud, right? And then they bring in Romeo Doubs, who I think has never been amazing in his career either, but I bet you will have a productive 4 seasons in.
Yeah, if you had to guess at his stat line next year from a yard standpoint, would you do over under 700 yards?
Probably under.
You think so? Because I think he's going to have somewhere in the 800, 850 range.
It really depends on how much booty
how much booty what
how much booty he can earn.
He gets.
I mean, last year was his best season as a pro, 724 yards and 6 touchdowns with the Packers. There's certainly going to be opportunity. There's over 1,000 yards vacant now with the cut of Diggs, but I do think that New England is probably thinking, hey, Kayshon Boutte is going to get even better and he's going to take over that wide receiver 1 role.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed. Now, are you done with Doubs? Are you good on Doubs?
We are good on Doubs.
All right, let's talk Byard for a second. I know we touched on it. Led the league. Was it led the league in interceptions last year? Is that what you said?
I believe he led the league in interceptions. Yeah.
How the fuck did he only get $9
Yeah,
million.
7 interceptions last year for Chicago.
Right. How did he only get 9? How old is he? I mean, do you have it open? Do you have his stuff in front of you? There has to be a reason.
Yeah, so he had 61 tackles last year. 93 combined, actually. That was 61 solo. No sacks, 7 interceptions. I don't know. That's the most interceptions he's ever had in his career. He had 4 back in 2022, 8 back in 2017. I mean, he's old. 2016 was his rookie year. So he's certainly getting up there in age. I don't actually know what the heck his age is. 32 years old.
30. Okay, so maybe the 1-year deal makes sense, right? I don't know. Like this just seems like a hell of a fucking player to sign for $9 million. And it was, in my opinion, at least, and Mac, please chime in the chat if you're still here. Safety was one of their biggest like need positions. And you got a hell of a fucking veteran in that room right now where you can then go into the draft with ample opportunities. I mean, I think they have something like 10 or 11 picks or something like that. The Patriots do. Ample opportunity to get a very good young safety to pair with Byard and learn from Byard and understand how to play, how to be a professional, how to be a pro. This was a sneaky good signing, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, according to our lads, he slides right into starting safety role there.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Good job by them. Let's talk about 2 former Dolphins now that just signed with the Patriots. They're both kind of role players on the Dolphins. Julian Hill at tight end and KJ Britt at linebacker. I think the KJ Britt one is just a good move. He's a young guy, 26 years old. He's fast. He's athletic. He's a depth piece. He was with the Buccaneers before he was with us last year. So, that's overall just a nice, solid depth piece. I think Julian Hill signing elsewhere pisses me off because we just spent the past 3 seasons growing this guy from a guy who had no right being on an NFL field to a respectable blocker, a respectable pass catcher, a respectable all-around tight end, and now he gets to go to New England and play probably pretty good football.
Yeah, I mean, KJ Britt real quick. I mean, as Patriots fans, if you go look at his 2025 production, it's not good because for whatever reason, Weaver didn't play him enough, in my opinion. Now, KJ Britt is not a downhill thumper. He is a pure coverage linebacker, in my opinion. And if you go back and watch him in Tampa Bay just a couple of years ago, that is the type of player that he can still be, in my opinion. I'm a huge KJ Britt fan. I'm assuming this is probably a 1-year deal, maybe a 2-year deal with the team option for the second year or something.
Probably.
Very good depth piece. Probably won't be a starting linebacker, but could very well be. Julian Hill, I think, is yet again one of those sneaky moves, right? Julian Hill took some time to marinate, if you will. It was
a slow.
It was slow burn,
slow moving train right there.
It was tough to watch for a couple of years there, but last year, man, he came up clutch in a few of our wins. I mean, I don't think any of the wins were directly related to his big play or his clutch catch, but it was a stepping stone to the victory that if he did not follow through with what he did, we wouldn't have won that game. So his fingerprints and his footprints were all over games in the little ways, which is big for a younger tight end. He's big. He's huge. I mean, he looks like a fucking door.
A monster. Yeah.
He's huge. From a physicality standpoint, he's got everything you want in a tight end. He's got the speed, he's got the height, he's got the strength. It was always about up here in his eyes and trusting his eyes and trusting his technique. And you could see that he started to do that last year. And when he started to trust his technique last year and started to trust his eyes and started to trust the players around him, he started to blossom into a quality tight end 2, which I think might be his ceiling, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he could be a tight end 1. I think tight end 2 is probably his ceiling, and that's where he is now, or that's where he's getting to now. But that's a hell of a player, a hell of a young player. Is going to show up when you least expect him to in big moments.
Yeah, young guy with a tremendous amount of just growth, and that's what you like to see out of a project guy like that. So Good point here by Mac and D-Dubs. Welcome to the show, buddy. We will certainly get to all of your chats in a minute here. Just want to wrap up the Patriots before we dive into the big board talk. Hunter Henry's not getting any younger, and Julian Hill give you guys a blocking tight end that you need. Listen, he's still very much in development, so to speak. But I do think this is a really good spot for him to land to continue to develop.
Absolutely.
Miami chose Dulcich over him essentially as their developmental type.
Which, I agree with. If I had to choose between those two, I would choose Dulcich 7 days out of the week.
Absolutely. Sorry. Grade wise, Josh, we gave the Patriots the biggest grade of the 4. We gave them a B+.
Yes.
Absolutely pains both of us to say this, but Vrabel has very much taken the Belichick way, add on a little of his own spice, and he's re-implemented it in New England. They stole Vera-Tucker from a division rival.
Mm-hmm.
They stacked the pass rush with some solid depth pieces. They grabbed Romeo Doubs to add to replace Stephon Diggs, pretty much just a younger version at this point. And after they missed out on Alec Pierce, they were big players in Alec Pierce, but of course they didn't want to spend $30 million a year on him, which I could not agree more. And then they end up grabbing KJ Britt and Julian Hill. Thank you very much, Mac.
We got the stamp of approval from the Patriots fan.
Yeah, all around this is a B+. I can't give a division rival an A. Sorry, it's just not happening. So you guys get the highest grade we will give to a division rival, a B+. A great free agency for the New England Patriots.
Yep, agreed, 100%.
Which sucks because they were just in the Super Bowl. Can y'all just give us a freaking minute?
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know.
Unbelievable. All right, let's get into D-Dubs here. Welcome to the show, buddy. Thanks for I've actually been responding to you in the chat and then sending it over to Josh's way there. Check our email, Josh. Looks like we got some big board talk going on.
I sure will
in the email. Thank you so much, man. So if you guys want to check out the big board that D-Dub is talking about, it's the 305gridiron.com.
That's my baby.
The big board link there, or you can just go ahead and click that link in the chat, which is sending now. Good. Let's see. What else? What's your opinion on Aiden Fisher or Caleb Elam's or? I have no idea who.
Yeah, so both are linebackers. Yeah, so Aiden Fisher is a linebacker out of Howard. Caleb's a linebacker at TCU. I think both of them are kind of developmental type linebackers, in my opinion, later round guys. But, Caleb ran a 4.47, 40-inch vertical. The big question about him is all around his instincts, in my opinion. I mean, you look at his tape and his instincts, he doesn't trust what he sees, which is a big problem as a linebacker, especially one that's in my opinion, a coverage linebacker who can rush. But the production, the athleticism will make him at least a viable special teams contributor from day one, which is big when you're drafting late round guys. You want them to contribute in whatever way possible. Mm-hmm. And for Foster, 6'2", 215-ish, I believe, he's a toolsy dude, right? He's a toolsy guy. Again, late round guy, not much college production to my knowledge, at least. But he'll need snaps. He'll need to grow physically. He needs to get bigger because 215 at 6'2" is a little light for a linebacker, unless he switches to safety, which I don't know if he has the speed to do so. But the loose analysis live on the show for two players that I have not done quite a lot of tape on.
Yeah, it brings up Lander Barton as well, who you do not have as a very good fit in your big board.
Yeah, no, and I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not gonna make shit up on the fly about him. But there's only a handful of linebackers in this draft that I think are worth any of our time. And we'll cover those on our next couple shows. I don't want to give away the juice too early.
Yeah, there was another one from here. Julian Hill makes Sam Roush or Tanner Kozel a smarter draft pick. I've been seeing Sam Roush to the Dolphins a bit more lately.
I do like him.
6'5", 260 out of Stanford. Expected to go between rounds 4 and 6.
Yep. I think I have him like a 5th round grade on him, if I'm not mistaken. So
something like that.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think we need to find one.
Unless I think Willie Gay is going to
slide
in.
I mean, we need depth either way, right? Yeah. So I think linebacker, now that we have the quarterback position settled, I'm not saying we won't draft one. According to everything we know, we will still be drafting a quarterback in this draft later on. Linebacker, edge, guard, wide receiver kind of are my 4 needs for Miami. Because you can't go into the season with just Brooks and Gay. That's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. We have so many more holes to fill in, and we will see them fill in, but probably not with names that you're going to enjoy or even know.
No, and I do think we're big players like later on, like once roster cut downs start happening and players are, or the kind of tail end of the rosters are getting churned and players are becoming available. I think we'll grab one, maybe 1 or 2 from Green Bay, or maybe there's still a chance. Maybe we do trade for Van Ness, right? I mean, I doubt it'll cost much, and he's on a rookie contract, so it's definitely within our wheelhouse. So quite a lot of options.
Post June 1st, we're probably going to see another wave of Dolphins signings. We're going to get an influx of money. Signings no longer count against the compensatory pick situation, which I don't think we're actually eligible for anyways, because I don't think it counts for guys that you cut. It only counts for guys that you lose contractually. I'm not 100% sure on that though, so don't hold me to that. Let's talk about the next few shows though before we go ahead and sign off here. And D-Dubs is asking about fullbacks. D-Dubs, he will respond to you in the email for sure, and if he doesn't, I'll just beat him up from afar because he's bigger than me. So let's talk about our next few shows. Josh, I'm excited. Next week we're going to talk about Wave 2 free agency targets. These are kind of, the dust will settle from the first week of free agency by next Monday when we record the show. We'll be able to kind of take a look at who's left on the board and kind of pinpoint some guys that we want to target. And then our other show next week, we're actually welcoming Taylor, who's a guy who did the show with us over at the Fins Forecast. We still talk with him regularly. He is also a draft nut like you are. He is going to do mock draft version 3 with us next week. I am so excited for that. So we're going to have 3 talking heads talking about the NFL draft. D-Dub, look forward to that one, buddy.
Please join that show if you can, D-Dub, because that's going to be very draft player talk heavy.
Between Josh and Taylor, my head is going to explode.
And tell the folks where they can find versions 1 and versions 2 of the 305 Gridiron's current mock drafts.
Absolutely. I actually wanted to get to that. Version 1 and version 2 of the mock draft, where I took tight end Eli Stowers in the 2nd round, by the way. I still stand behind that.
This is why I can't give you the wheel for rounds.
You got to give me full control, man. You see what I can come up with. You can find them at the 305gridiron.com/mocks. It's a very easy URL for that one. And version 1 from February 11th, version 2 from March 3rd. Version 3 will be up there somewhere around March 16th, 17th, something like that. Yeah. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's show. Thanks so much for joining us. Lots of people in here. So if you haven't subscribed yet, we do have a goal of 250 subscribers by August 11th. That'll be our 1-year anniversary of the show. So if you enjoyed this show even for a little bit, make sure you hit that like button and hit subscribe. You don't need to hit the notification. It's okay. We don't need to get notifications. Just need that subscription thing. We will love you for it. So for Josh, aka Aqua Ace, over here to my left, I'm Anthony Pinzone. This has been another episode of the 305 Gridiron. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, fins up, baby.